The best decision I ever made, I think, was probably to take a risk. And just, I suppose when I first started writing the book, Only Ever Yours, which was my first novel, I didn't know anyone in publishing. I didn't know whether this book was ever going to see the light of day. But I just decided that I was going to try my best, work as hard as I possibly could. And it was a risk, and I mean it did pay off, but I think again sometimes we're so afraid of taking risks, and I think that can hold us back as well. It's funny, I don't actually know if I believe in the idea of bad decisions. I actually think what happens to most people is that they get into a state of paralysis where they're unable to make any decisions. And you have to, in order to move forward, you have to make a decision. And if it turns out that you're like, okay, this is not working out in the way that I want to, you make another decision. So I think that for fear of making the wrong decision, a lot of people get stuck in a state of status. And I think that's actually the biggest mistake. So I don't really believe in regrets either. I think everything happens for a reason, and I just like to keep moving forward. I always say I'm a bit like a shark. If I don't keep moving forward, I'm going to die. And so I try not to look back, because the thing is I cannot change it. Even if I think that was the worst decision I ever made in my entire life, I cannot go back and change it. So I'm in the place that I am in now. What can I do moving forward? I get this a lot, where people will say, oh, do you think of yourself as a role model? And I would always say absolutely not, because I think if we put people on a pedestal, we don't allow them the space to be human, to make mistakes, to say the wrong thing, because we expect them to be perfect, and nobody's perfect. So there's lots of women that I greatly admire, other authors, or just people that I've worked with, people that that I know, but would I say that any of them are my inspiration? Not really, because I actually wouldn't want to put that pressure on another woman. And I think it might have been my dad who said this to me, but I can't remember. Someone once said, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. And I remember thinking that was a really sage piece of advice, because I think for me particularly, I spent so much time worrying about what other people thought of me, or how they were seeing me, or how they were interpreting, I suppose, me and my behaviour. And I suppose the sad thing is that while I was so worried about whether other people liked me, I absolutely hated myself. And I think that if I'd actually spent even like a quarter of the time that I'd spent worrying about how other people saw me, if I had spent that time thinking about how I viewed myself, I would have been much better off. So I think it's care less about what other people think about you and pay more attention to how you feel about yourself. Maybe it was okay to fail, that it was okay not to be perfect. I always just wanted to be, I think it was because I secretly didn't think I was good enough, so I felt like I had to be twice as good as everybody else in order even to break even. And I was so afraid that if I didn't act perfectly, and if I didn't look, perfect all of the time, that other people would see that there was intrinsically, I think, something wrong with me. And I suppose I just wish that I had known that it was okay for me to be human. It was okay for me to make mistakes. It was okay for me to fail, and that didn't actually mean that I was a bad person. And that was something I suppose I was really grappling with well into my 20s. So it's something I think I still work on every day, but I think now I'm definitely much more gentle with myself when I make mistakes, and I make so many of them, unfortunately, but I try not to give myself too hard a time. It's really important to set targets. I think if you set a target for yourself, like I'm going to have the first draft of a book done within a year, and in order to do that, I need to write this many words a week. And then you just have to prioritize it. I always find it really funny when people say to me, you're so lucky, and I wish I suppose that I could have a career like yours. And I am really lucky. I have been really fortunate, but I also think that if I explained to them the sacrifices that I've made on a personal level over the last 5 years, I don't know that many people would sort of jump at the chance. I just have worked and 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 worked to the point of feeling like I am going to just have a breakdown. Do you know that sort of way? And I'm not saying that's like the route to success, but I'm also saying that you have to be prepared to make some sort of sacrifices. So if you have your word count to meet, and someone's like, let's go out for a drink after work. It's like, nope, sorry, I have to get my workout done. And some people aren't prepared maybe to do that, or they don't want to do that. And actually, that's totally fine. Like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but I think it's about knowing that if this is something that's really important to you, that you have to prioritize it.